which kind of gives steps in opening an OTD, and this addresses some of these concerns. We do write a draft management plan at the time of accepting the offer to dedicate, as we did with this easement that's approved by State Coastal Conservancy and the Coastal Commission, in which we outline our responsibilities, i.e. monitoring the trail regularly, trash pickup, adequate signage, responding to maintenance and management issues. And then with the opening of the OTD, we will draft a more fuller management plan in the county, and the landowner have been given a draft of that where we extend our responsibilities to doing invasive weed removal, maintaining the trail, regular monthly trash and pickup monitoring, and that kind of thing. I'd like to address some of the issues Mr. Patrick brought up, and which were brought up in the March 27th hearing about liability and public safety. As I said, we designed the trail to minimize public safety. We manage a 54-acre parcel at Navarro Point where we have a trail along a bluff. All our coastal access trails, which we manage 3 open easement trails now, are along bluff edges, as most are coastal trails in the county. We have not had a death related to people or an injury related to people falling off the bluff edge. The trail is going to be located well away from the bluff edge, as well as signage between the trail and the bluff edge warn people of unstable bluff edge. We're ending the trail 50 feet from an ESHA and well within our easement to prevent people from accessing a trail down that has been historically used for abalone diving as a safety measure. As well as designating the trail with the fence and signage legitimizes where people can go, and we're not going to direct people to an unsafe bluff edge. We found that signage and delineating the trail has worked in our other public trails, Navarro Point being one, which is a similar location. The other issue of liability, we did give John information about the California recreational use statute, which protects private landowners from lawsuit related to personal injury from recreational use of their property, and the state indemnifies the landowner for those types of lawsuits. As he said, there are exceptions. One is we cannot charge entry fee, which we do not as a policy. We do not explicitly invite people, which means on a date at a time, and that person gets injured, there is a potential case. And lastly, that we give fair warning of any hazardous conditions, which the signage adequately does that we are proposing for the trail. I just want to give some context. The Land Trust has a long experience in opening and managing public access easements in Mendocino County. We began our coastal access work in 1996 with the acceptance of 6 offer to dedicate easements, and opened our first public access easement at Mendo Bay Viewpoint that year. In 99, we opened our first vertical OTD at Cantus Cove, and in 2004 at Belinda Point. And in 2005, we accepted 15 more OTDs with the intent to create 6 new segments of the California Coastal Trail and coastal viewing area in Noyo Harbor. And that was planning funding from the State Coastal Conservancy. So there's been a great deal of amount of money and time invested by the state of California to realize these mitigations for approved coastal development permits, and the cost of mitigation related to the landowner development plans has been transferred to the state, and in this case the Land Trust, working on behalf of the people of California to secure legal access to our coastline. What we're proposing to do at that site, again, is legitimize access that's been going on historically, even before the time that the Patricks bought the property. There's been prescriptive access there for abalone diving. So we're trying to improve this situation by creating a safe trail that balances the needs of the landowners with the trail users and their legal right to use it. In all good effort, MLT has worked with each landowner where we hold an OTD, informing and consulting with them about the proposed trail alignment, maintenance, and monitoring, and incorporating all their concerns to the best of our ability. We've taken on additional responsibilities such as abalone diver outreach, which we've been continually doing out at Navarro Point and the pullout, invasive weed removal, native plant restoration, and erosion control measures. Our relationship with Mr. Patrick is no exception, and as the record of correspondence shows, we've endeavored to answer all of his questions and respect his requests. I wanted to outline some of the context for the trail and its proximity to other public access points, Navarro Point being just south, with 3 intervening landowners, 2 of which have already stepped forward to donate public access easements to create a connective trail to our property at Navarro Point, as well as to the north. Planning is being undertaken for the California Coastal Trail, so we hope that this trail one day be integrated into California Coastal Trail in Mendocino County. Each and one of these public access easements is invaluable. I feel that they're pearls in the Coastal Trail necklace, and we are setting a precedent of whether the county recognizes and supports the public right to the California coastal line, the value of nature-based recreational opportunities, and the longstanding position of the State Coastal Conservancy and the Coastal Commission and public access groups of the legality of utilizing these easements for the public good. John Patrick also brought up impact to the region at the March 25th hearing. I feel that, if anything, it's an amenity value to the people who live there. It's strategic in terms of its location and the nature of the trail as a nature study trail. Its importance for recreational opportunities in Mendocino County, the economic contribution of these trails to the local economy cannot be underemphasized. And I hope I've addressed all of those issues. If it's a matter of the trail going forward or not, by adding John Patrick as an additionally insured under the liability insurance that we hold, we would agree to that. We hold a $1 million insurance policy for all our open public access easements. It's not been our policy to add individual landowners, but we would be willing to do that as long as it's not setting a precedence, as it's an additional cost to us. And no further issues. If you board has questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay. You have 10 minutes remaining. Any additional things that you need to bring forward to argue your side of the case?
I don't believe so. I think I was pretty...
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. And to the board and or the clerk, note any correspondence or any contacts from either side on this issue.
The correspondence received has been distributed in the board packets.
Okay. And Supervisor Colfax.
I'm sorry, you may have to come back to the podium. I need some clarification. There's some reference you made to prescriptive rights or access to abalone
the site.
divers. So my question would be, since the bluff is there, and they can throw a rope over the side as they have down in Elk, I would think that this is a rather different use than would be ordinarily prescribed, so that you could walk down view from a safe distance from the edge of the bluff. So the question I have here is there a prescriptive right in place, or is this something